My daughter was a beautiful mess of contradictions. Her apartment was a wreck, but her drawers were immaculate. She could spend all weekend eating Pop-Tarts and watching Netflix, yet spend all week getting after it at work. She exuded confidence, but battled with doubt. She sought companionship, yet was content to be alone. She could be selfish, but she gave so much. She was the master of the dirty look and of the goofy smile. She was hard-headed and relentless when she wanted something, which can be both a weakness and a strength. I have a story I want told about Evann, a story that represents all her beautiful contradictions. Evann's junior year in high school, she came home from a softball tournament with literature about what was then Truett McConnell College. We honestly had not heard of the school, but in the space of about 12 hours, Evann had decided that this was her college. Before long, she had contacted the softball coach and was told that Truett soon had a recruiting day and softball tryout. Evann was invited. So in the early morning hours of a very cold, very wet day in the North Georgia mountains, I found myself in the parking lot of the Cleveland, Georgia Burger King giving Evann some tough love. She was having doubts. What was she doing here? She was just in the 11th grade. How does she know this was the place? Wasn't she going to look like an idiot at the tryouts? Her head hurt. Her stomach hurt. Can't we just forget this and go home? Evann didn't get her way. I drove her to the campus. We listened to the speakers. We toured the campus. And then Evann put up her second fight. She wasn't going to the softball tryout. This time, both her daddy and I had to encourage Evann. So we drove to the field, which at that time was at the county recreational fields and on the side of a mountain. Despite her doubts, Evann took the field among the other girls. At the time, she was primarily a right fielder, so she took part in some drills as I watched. Then it was her turn to take some fly balls alone in her position with runners on base. At that point, I watched Evann take off her hoodie and catch ball after ball in her short sleeves on that cold, misty mountain. At one point, a runner took off from second base for third on the catch. Evann threw her out at third from right field, which is awesome and foolish at the same time. You see, outfielders who are playing deep are usually told to throw to the cut person, an infielder who can relay the throw because of distance and the need for accuracy. Evann, despite knowing what she should do, rarely threw to the cut person. She was stubborn and confident, to the frustration of many of her coaches. She'd hurl the ball from right field, and sometimes the gamble paid off, and sometimes it didn't. That decision to take matters into her own hands could mean looking foolish and selfish and taking the blame for a loss. Or that stubborn, one-minded decision could mean an awesome, game-changing play. That day, despite her doubts, Evann rose to a challenge, and, despite the collective wisdom of others, did what she believed was right. She purposefully missed the cut and threw the runner out at third from right field. At that moment, I swear to you, a rainbow appeared on the mountain beyond that field. Through the mist and cold was a promise and a reward for believing in oneself. That day, that play, we all knew that Evann was destined to go to school at Truett McConnell, but it was more than that. That day, that play, I knew in my mother's heart who Evann was. A beautiful, wonderful mess of potential. Forgetful and thoughtful, messy and organized, lazy and unstoppable. The giver of too much information and keeper of secrets. The procrastinator and the go-getter. the fearful and the fierce, but always, always resilient, loyal, and loving. Evann, like all of us, struggled with self-doubt. She knew her imperfections. Her journals and paintings are full of inspirational statements she's collected. The most recent one is, "You are enough." It hurts me some to think that she had to keep reminding herself of that truth because she was more than enough. I would like to pass on in her memory that you, where you are sitting, in whatever you are feeling, and whatever you are facing, you are enough. It is my hope and would be my comfort that the next time you are on the side of a miserable, cold, wet mountain in life, and you wonder why you're even trying, that you think of my Evann and rear back and throw with all your strength. We have a rainbow promise that it will be a game changer.